Okay. Uh, Hello, everyone. I know it's probably the second day of the conference, and I don't know how many people have been attending the conference all 2 days. Pretty good, pretty good. Obviously, there's a lot of interest in the topic, right? So, Internet of Things, different people call it different ways, right? So some people call it smart, some people call it Internet of Things, Internet of Everything. So many names for this. I'm here to focus on one particular application, right? So I'm sure a lot of sessions covered on the horizontal, the technology layer. I'm focusing on one application of it, which is seniors, right? And within that as well, I'll kind of make my position clear on where we stand in terms of making everything smart, right? So the company, a little bit about myself. I'm the co-founder of this company called Agility4Life, and we focus on building smart home products for seniors. So our whole mission is to help seniors age in place, and that would not happen with the current climate in terms of either costs or in terms of the family support and others, right? And the only way you can get there is by technology. So that's our premise. And as a co-founder, so we've been working on this for the last 2-3 years, and we won a couple of startup competitions related to seniors, and got a lot of interest from the folks in this space in particular. So let me go through it very quickly. What I would like to do, since it's a small crowd, right? I'll try to be as interactive as possible. Please stop me wherever you have a question or any comments, and we'll try to keep it a little more informal, right? Let's go through this. So I have these 4 sections. I think I would spend more time probably on the business inside. I want to really touch upon what we think is the opportunity here, right? And how we see this different from many other approaches to helping seniors. Any questions before I start? Just want to get a sense of like where different folks have interest in. How many are here to think about the technology for seniors, and how many are interested more in the market? So first, the technology, like what kind of technologies are there? Okay, great. And about the market, like how familiar are you with the market? Do you like to know more? Okay, we have 1. Okay, so maybe this order is actually correct. So we'll probably go this way then. This is mainly talking about the solution first on various technologies available, and then we do a small demo of how it can be applied, how we have at least tried to address it, and then we'll go into the market sizing and all, okay? So first of all, again, trying to be interactive here. How many of you have either parents or grandparents age 65 and above, but are living by themselves, as in they don't have any other younger family member there to take care of them at home? So how many do you know or have knowledge of? All right, so pretty good proportion here, and that's exactly the market we're targeting, because as you see, right, so with the baby boomers coming in, and a lot of them being pretty independent, they actually want to live by themselves, and typically don't stay with a family member close by. So that's the challenge a lot of them have as they age, and they have been, had a great, livelihood. So they're great lives, and as they start aging, they're now finding this kind of lack of the support system they're used to. So that's basically where I think we were focusing. So like very quickly, this company basically, our focus is to be the company that builds the smart home products for seniors. So we want to improve the quality of life of seniors. So it's not just a financial mission. We actually have a social mission as well. We really feel for it. We got incubated at Palo Alto Medical Foundation's Developer Challenge. This is where they wanted technology to help improve the quality of life seniors. So we pitched our ideas. We got a prize there, and also we pitched to a startup challenge where AARP was one of the evaluators, and so we won their foundation prize. Probably everyone knows AARP, right? Yeah. So they're the voice in terms of the advocacy group for seniors. So they keep a close eye on what's happening in terms of technology as well, and they encourage companies that are working in this area. So it's a company of about 15 people now. We've been, again, focused a lot on proving the market first. We didn't start with the technology first looking for a problem. We started rather with the market and what's the problem, and then we started looking for a solution that helps, right? So again, very quickly on why now, and you saw very in the audience mentioned, right? A lot of of folks who are living by themselves. And typically what happens is they, first of all, the seniors don't want to acknowledge that they have any health problems or their quality of life, or like what we call as ADLs, like activities of daily living, they're getting affected, right? So as in, you're able to earlier say drive for 3 hours straight, but now you're not able to, right? So and if you go towards the scale of like someone who's 85 or 90, they may not be even able to drive to a grocery store, right? So this is where you kind of try to measure the ADLs, or activities of daily living, and you see how a senior is doing. And we believe with about 10,000 seniors kind of added to this 65 plus age range daily, we feel there is a huge market here, right? And the second one is, as I said, in terms of the family. So many of them are living by themselves with no family members around. The two typical problems happen, especially when they're at home. So first of all, they spend about 2/3 of their lives at home. So compared to other, I think, adults, right? This is because they're not working, and it could be because of an illness. So they spend most of their time at home. And this becomes one of the biggest risk areas for them. For example, if they have a fall, or if they develop conditions like Alzheimer's or dementia, there's no one to actually monitor and then say, hey, you got a problem, right? So that's the opportunity, I think. And typically, how do people address it, right? This is a problem. So they may fall, right? And they may have this slow deterioration of their health. So what do typically they do, right? So they either hire someone, they have someone come, like an in-home nurse, or they call it, so basically you have the continuum. Let's go over the kind of how the market manages it, right? So you got the hospitals for the extreme conditions. You got the assisted living, where you have 24/7 nursing care. Then you have independent living. So you have retirement communities where there are a lot of seniors around, and there is some level of access to quick healthcare or quick emergency services, right? And then you have people who are living by themselves at homes. So those who live by themselves, or those who are in the independent living, they can opt for a service where a nurse comes to your place, maybe a couple of hours or 4 hours a day, and helps with the basics. So some of them help with, say, taking bath, maybe cooking, or it could be just fetching groceries, or taking them to the doctor's visit, like a physician visit and all. So that's one way people solve. But of course, it costs money, right? And then anywhere you go up that continuum, hospitals or assisted living facilities, it costs a lot of money. In the Bay Area, it could come to about $8,000 to $9,000 a month, right? So imagine how many seniors would be able to afford that. Not many, right? And the visits from the nurses, or like aides, they call. So that can also range anywhere between $2,000, $3,000 per month. Again, if you are surviving on, say, either Social Security or some pension, it becomes very hard for you to sustain that kind of an ongoing cost, which is on top of your health expenditures, right? Your other insurance payments, if at all there's any mortgage left, right? And food, and so many other things, right? So it's a big burden on many seniors. So they again take two approaches, right? One is they want to do something about it, or they just ignore. And this is when you hear of someone who basically fell and nobody came and looked at this person for 2 days, and they literally were covered by their feces, urine, and they just died. horrible death, right? So that's the one scenario. The other one is, yeah, you basically somehow start dipping into your various savings, and you start hiring people to help you with it. So we feel there is a third alternative, right? So you can use some cheaper technologies to provide that bridge. So you provide decent amount of care while you're at home, to the point where it just is not sustainable and you have to be moved to an assisted care facility, right? So that's the place where we want to play, and we want to help them stay at home longer and have a better quality of life. Because the moment you take a person out of the area that they're comfortable with, it basically results in many other challenges. Now you have to get adjusted to new people, new environment. It causes more stresses and results in many other problems, right? So we feel, I think, and a lot of seniors mention, and AARP is one of the advocates, is for aging in place. That's basically stay at your own home and age there, right? So that's kind of where we are. And also, so this is from the market side, right? From the technology side, we feel that the timing is right. So basically the cost of various technologies from the hardware side or software side, they've dropped enough to be able to build pretty sophisticated technologies that can provide that bridge, okay? And so could you do it 10 years ago? You could, but the price point was too high for it to have any adoption, right? So we feel this is now the right time when you can actually bring this technology to the masses, right? So also, I think with the changes like the Affordable Care Act, there's a lot of pressure on hospitals and others to provide the total care, not just when somebody falls and breaks their hip, but also to take care of them as they are developing any conditions and provide preventative care, right? So there's a lot more emphasis on it, and there's actually money being poured to help develop technologies and incubate companies that help with the preventative care as well. So those are the reasons why we felt it's a good time when all these are converging, and there are opportunities for both people coming from the technology side or from the healthcare side to look at this area closely and build smart home products for seniors. Okay, so let me pause here. So anything that you'd like to ask, any questions, comments here, or do we go through the rest? Okay, let's do. So this is basically a little bit about our product. Again, it's more, it's not to be a pitch of our product per se, but it's more about the various kinds of technologies available, right? So in terms of monitoring someone at home, so why do you need to monitor, right? So when you think about what's the difference between a home and a smart home, the idea is we would like to convert every part of the home into something that's sensitive, right? You should be able to hear, you should be able to smell, right? So you should be able to do certain activities and provide guidance. So that's when that home becomes a smart home. So how do you get to a smart home? So there are different companies that have tried to address it differently. So some of them, for example, they have detectors like ours. So you have a detector that's put on the doors, it's put on the bed, it's put on the roof, it could be on the floor, the tiles of the floor, it could be so put on the seniors themselves, like you put on their dress, their shirts, their cane, sometimes the spectacles, the watches, you name it, right? So there's a big movement towards putting these sensors on every part of the person and every part of the home. What we found, and again, the way technology works is you have all these sensors, they're gathering all the data about where is the person, what is he or she doing, has the light been turned on or off, has the person reached out to the medicine cabinet to pick up the pills or not, right? So how many times did the person go to a restroom? So all these provide you rich data, and if you take it to a physician, would be able to look for patterns, right? But in many cases, the physicians don't have the time to understand what's of value, what you call as signal versus what's a noise, right? So that's where technology plays a role. And we feel this is the hardware part where you have some detectors and you have hubs to gather all the information. Then kind of what do you do with it, right? A little bit about kind of various form factors for these devices. We have ours, which is very small. It can be put on the roof, just like a fire alarm. And what we do is basically a real-time detection of falls, and then we look at like a steady deterioration of health over time. We look for any indicators that help you there, right? So to find out, and that's what we provide through a dashboard or a health dashboard, right? So this is kind of a little bit of an architecture of how it works. So we have the data coming from the detectors. It basically is pushed into our cloud application, and from there we run it through the analytics, generate some trends, and we provide this information to through a website or a mobile channel to either the senior, the caregivers for the seniors, could be physicians. And in some cases, if they are living in a senior home facility, it could be the administrators of the facility, right? So they want to know is the senior doing fine or not, right? So we provide those, and there are two aspects to it. One is to provide information about this slow deterioration, right? So that can happen asynchronously. So as in you collect the data over time, you don't need to process it immediately, right? But there's the other part, which is responsive care, which is when a person falls. I mean, you need to do it quickly, right? So you need to know immediately that there is a fall, and then you need to assess what's the accuracy or probability of a real fall, and you need to notify. You need to let an emergency responder know. And that could be again in 9/11, or it could be again an administrator of this building. So we have currently a trial going on in the city with a senior housing facility where they want the building, they have a person in the lobby who's monitoring. And so obviously that person cannot keep track of these 250 seniors and what they're doing, right? So an alert system like this will let them know that, oh, hey, there's this particular person seems to have a problem. Go check on him, right? So it's much easier for them, and they requested that alert facility as well. So that's what we do. We generate those alerts, real-time alerts, but also we generate this information which provides the patterns and trends over time that can indicate onset of, say, dementia or any of these diseases like dementia. So all this, again, you need to have the privacy element here. So obviously people don't want, and this has been the biggest problem so far, which is when you want to put all these sensors on everyone, on the people and the rooms, the biggest pushback is that I don't want them, right? I'm healthy enough, I don't want them, I don't want someone looking at me, especially if there is a video or like a photo involved. There's a lot of resistance to having it in the first place, right? And also there's the ease of use element. If it's too complicated, so again, look at like security systems, right? Many of them, they throw so many false alarms. It becomes very hard to believe which one is a real fall and which is not. And especially if it is not a real fall, there should be easier mechanisms to say, no, it's not a fall, so that don't send a bunch of people to come and check on me, right? So that's kind of what we were focusing on. How do you kind of improve this privacy and ease of use to make sure the quality of information is improved, right? Especially for the responsive side when there is a fall. So there is a lot of health benefits to capturing this information, right? It could be about the falls, it could be the gait or walking speed. It's the information that you gather from this could be, again, precursor, right? So if you see like an asymmetry of movement, they're tilting to one side a lot more. It could be indicative of problems, the joints or muscles in that area, again, or it could be because of certain issues at the brain or nerve level, right? And also a very simple piece of information that a lot of these administrators or even caregivers want to know is their inactivity, right? Did this person not get up from bed at all today? Right, so there's inactivity or lack of movement. That's another kind of information a lot of these are looking for. So and so there's basically a lot of value to this real-time fall detection. A fall costs close to $20,000, right? Now, who pays for it? It's kind of mixed. So it could be Medicare, it could be hospital, which is writing off some losses. In some case, it could be the senior who's paying for it. So it's very expensive to have a fall. So, and also the more time that goes by before the fall is detected, the more degeneration of the health that occurs, and the more costly it becomes. So the sooner you detect, the better it is for everyone, right? So, and also this is more around that the slow degeneration, right? So there is value to getting this information up front, to know and catch diseases up front, right? So let me kind of fast forward to these things. So we talked to a lot of experts in this area, in this industry, in terms of the health folks who are physicians, gerontologists, some who are academics, those from the industry. So we talked to a lot of them, and we converged on, okay, this is a problem to solve, and we need to have product here. And also they confirmed that there are no good solutions right now. And so that's what we, were interested in. Said, okay, this is what we need to do. So I'll give a very quick, I think, view of how you could detect faults. And so for many a time, right? So it was perceived as though the image processing is a very hard thing to do. And this was true, mainly because of the processing involved. So you need high-end computers to do this processing. But today, this whole thing can be done by a Raspberry Pi. So we can process, we can get all this video or information on a Pi, and we can process it, and we can say whether a fall is detected or not. So that's mainly I wanted to cover, because the technology has evolved to the point where you have pretty powerful processors at a pretty cheaper price point that you can install in every room, and you can actually detect it. And again, this is based on a video, but we have the product currently that we're working on. It doesn't use a camera. It uses the thermal signatures to know whether a person has fallen or not, right? So, and this is kind of, again, let me show quickly. So the way this works is basically you're tracking the movements of a person over time. So you can see, let's see this. Okay, so it's basically not working, I guess. But the point is basically as the person walks, you can see this kind of dot move, and you can see the plot of the person's movements over time. So that's basically what we wanted to convey here. Anyway, so we are doing this beta, and we are getting some great results in terms of identifying this information, and then using it to show the risk factors, or what's the probability of certain different disease conditions to occur, right? So kind of, yeah, so before I go into the market side, so let me talk a couple of things about, actually, let me go to the competitive side. So what are the various options that are available, right? So we have, for example, we have our product, of course, and what are the different things people do, right? So one is when you go to a physician, they actually do this stopwatch, and they measure with the tape, basically. They see how much you're walking, how long you're taking, right? So we feel that's something that you can automate with something like this. There are motion detectors, and so where, for example, it's just it's like you're part of the security system, but also a motion detector, which can tell whether a person is active or not, right? So some functionality you can achieve. You have a more sophisticated system like Kinect. Kinect, how many of you have looked at Kinect, used Kinect, played with it? So you've seen Kinect, right? It's pretty good. So you can actually get two pieces of information. You have a video, but it also has an IR sensor in it. So even if it's dark, it can actually detect you, and it can detect up to 21 points in a human body. So when there is a fall, there's a very good algorithm to actually find out whether it's actually a real fall or not, and you can weed out a lot of noise. And the Kinect, currently, it's the problem is the price. The price point is at $200 for a Kinect, and then you need a good processor as well, right? So that's another $100. So each room will cost you about $300 to $400, right? And overall, for a condo with about 3 rooms, it's going to cost about $1,500. And add on top any monthly fee, it's usually the price point is very high for a lot of seniors. So you need a cheaper version of it, and that's what we have been working on. So there are other technologies like radars, and you have like these like life alerts where you fell down and you can press a button and say, hey, help me, right? So there's those that use the accelerometers, so you don't need to press, but it will detect. Many of them, they're cheaper, but they're also high on false positives. Too many times you get, even if you just sit down, some of them will say you fell, right? So there's a problem with that as well. So those are the reasons why we felt there is an opportunity to build a new product in this space. So again, let me pause here. So any questions? Any of you guys, did you work in this area, in the healthcare space? Did you look at any products? Do you have any questions? There are a couple more things that I can cover about the market itself and also about technology. But again, I want to see like what's the interest level. Mm-hmm.
Do you need FDA approval to do fall detection?
Good point. So the FDA approval is typically needed for anything that you ingest or you wear probably on your body. Even there, again, if you see those like, all the wearables, the ones you at least wear, I have not seen them require an FDA approval, but you need FCC approvals because many of these emit radiation or wireless radiation of various kinds. You need an FCC approval, but usually it's considered as a device that's already in the market, or there's a comparable device in the market, and you get that approval pretty easily. Like if you show that it's comparable to a cell phone, you're good, pretty good. So in our case, we actually checked with FDA. We asked them like for a device which is installed in the room and it's not actually providing medical guidance in the sense we are not telling that you have a particular condition. Rather, we highlight a risk factor saying that you may have this. Go and get it checked with your physician. They say it's not need, it's not necessity. All right. Yeah.
How are you figuring out it's not a false alarm for fall? Mm-hmm. And what's the percentage of?
Good question. But that's where actually the secret sauce of the company lies. So I can't tell you everything about how we do it. So that's really what our IP is about, right? So a lot of people, you can always get these software programs that can get this information, that where is the person and how is the person like. But getting from there, usually to getting, okay, so the answer specifically to your question is our target is about 90% plus accuracy, right? And so a lot of the products and devices in the market, they get to about 50 to 60%. And 50% is coin toss, so it's really bad, right? So 60, 70, now you have some algorithm, it's doing something. But the problem is false positives and false negatives, right? Both. And because you err on the side of the getting more false positives instead of the false negatives, like if a person has fallen, you really want to know, right? You don't want to miss that. So you tweak your algorithms pretty strongly towards catching every possible thing. And that's where there are various studies. I'll tell you what's in the public domain. In the public domain, a fall is defined as any movement, a rapid movement, where the center of gravity of a person, or typically the head, it basically is moving from its original state to something lower within half a second. So that's the definition of a fall. Now, you can go with it, or you can have your own algorithm, but that's the definition of a fall. And so a lot of algorithms try to look for that, like how can I calculate the center of gravity of a person, and then look for its trajectory down and see can I get that very accurate calculation or not. And again, this is where you start. If you try to do a lot of processing on the board, you first need a lot of memory, and so that increases your cost. So that's where I think there's a delicate balance to be struck in terms of what you can do on the device as cheaply as possible without triggering a lot of false alarms. So that's the secret sauce for most of the companies in this area, whether you're using a video or using this kind of motion detectors, or so there are so many other mechanisms to capture this.
Who's paying for it? Where do you see who's going to, the business model, who's going to pay for it?
Sure. So there are various payers in the system. So one could be at the total, like in terms of, so it's one can be the B2C model, right? So where it's like a life alert. So you pay $20, you get this device, and you can wear it, and you can press the button, right? And then it goes to the kind of the B2B model where it's a senior housing community that takes some responsibility for your care, and or they offer this as an additional device in the homes that they have built. For example, there's a new condo complex that comes up oriented towards seniors, and they can say, hey, in addition to the standard features, we have this fall detection or this smart features for your home available. And those can be another way you can monetize it. And the third one could be the insurance, right? So the insurance is typically incentivized to reduce either falls, or it could be this deterioration of health, so where you can intervene. So Medicare actually has a couple of programs where they're funding companies that are focused on this. In looking for, I'll just put this last slide and then we can talk more, I guess. Yeah, I'll just leave it here. Then there's actually, so we have talked about the B2C, we got the B2B, then you have the insurance, right? And the fourth one actually is coming through this regulation. As I told about the Affordable Care Act, there's actually a stipulation where if someone who is discharged from a hospital is hospitalized again within 30 days, then the hospital has to eat the costs. So in that case, a lot of hospitals are looking for ways to use smart home features. For example, they can look at, okay, this person was discharged and looks like the person is not recovering. 2 weeks down, the walking, everything seems to be the same. It's better to get them to an outpatient visit, let them come and get themselves checked, rather than they go through, say, another week and they fall. And then they end up in the ER, and now this time Medicare is not going to pay the hospital. So that's the fourth revenue stream, where the hospitals themselves, when they're discharging, they can give some of these smart home products, or they can pay for or subsidize some of these smart home solutions, right? So, let me talk about one other small thing, and okay, we're almost there. So one slight difference is actually between the wearables and the other smart home devices, right? Or those that are not worn by the senior. So there's a philosophical divide. So there is a one camp which argues that, look, the seniors are not going to wear these things. They're going to forget, or because they're at home, they have very less incentive or reason to wear some of these things. And therefore, when they have adverse situations, you will not be able to catch them. The second one is you got to put them into the home. You have to integrate these products into the home. They won't know it, they won't interfere with them, and you will be able to detect them, right? But also the other problem is if they're outside the home, then you don't have any control, like if they have a fall or something else happens. So basically that's why I think you see some of them falling into this Fitbit category. They prepare very nice devices that someone can wear as either a watch or a pendant, a hat, shoes, whatever it is, right? And they try to provide this kind of smart support, right? But for us, like, we felt that's probably not the place where we want to go, especially when the healthcare and looking at the risk factors, that's more important. So that's where we felt it's better to integrate this technology into the homes, where whether the seniors do anything or not explicitly, they'll be taken care of. So I'll kind of close on that note. So very interesting companies in both spaces, a lot of opportunities, very interesting technologies. So this is an area, again, this technology is being applied for a real useful cause. It's not just another social app. This actually is going to save a lot of lives, right, and improve the quality of life of seniors. So if you are interested in looking for an idea to work on, you got a great, cool hardware, software, or technology available, this could be a good vertical to target. Yeah, thank you. And so our company, again, is Agility4Life. If you're interested, if you want to talk more, please feel free to visit the company. You can reach out to me. It's uday.chaka@agility4life.com.